Hello and welcome to day 9 of Sudoku September with me, Rainy Day. This puzzle is called Uneasy Alliance. So, a lot of rules here. Basically, same relative positions, there and there cannot be the same. These are skyscraper clues, which contains a single digit. Showing you how many you should be able to see going, I guess, either that way or that way. Arrows, so that is equal to some of those. Remember lines, digits and shades are even, and circles are odd. So, where do we start with this? Well, I guess we could start looking at parity stuff, right? So we know that's even. So that must be odd, and so must that. I'll highlight odds in red. And I'll highlight that in red, and I'll highlight that in blue. Just so I've got to go clear a little bit. So, what could be on here? Oh no, this must be at minimum 3. Oh, wait, this is either 3 or 5. That would be... that cannot be 5. That would be either 1 or 3. Well, actually no, we don't know whether they're both odd. What we do know is that they're both the same. It could be 4, 6. That could be 1, 2, 3, 4. It's either 2 or 4. But this actually can't be 4. It's either 3, 5 or 6. So I'm going to be 1, 2. Can't be 2, 2. 3, 2 is 5. 4, 2 is 6. 1, 4 is 5. 2, 4 is 6. And 3, 4 and 4, 4 don't work. Now, it would be worth noting, like, say this was a 6. That would have to be... Actually, that's an interesting point. This couldn't be a 6. Because if this one, if this was a 6, this has to be 2, 4. Now, if this is a 6 and a skyscraper, this has to be a 1. But this can't be 1 because that can't be a 5 because it's even. So this cannot be 6. So we know that is odd. And therefore we know that must be 1 or 3. Okay. There we go. Now, this actually can't be 1, but this sort of the same reason we just said. For there to be a 1 on here, it's got to touch a 6. And means, if there was a 5, it wouldn't work. So this can't be a 1, so I think this has to be 3. That is 5, and that is 2. Okay. Oh, unhighlight those. So, that is either 4 or 6. That is either 1 or 5. It would also be worth noting, right, the skyscraper is a two-way thing. So whatever 1 is, the ones either side both have to be 6. This would be interesting for here, because if this was a 1, that could be a 6 because it's even, but this couldn't be a 6 because it breaks the arrow. So 1 cannot go there, so that could be a 1. Or that could be a 1. That places 6 and 2 in there. I guess that one's column 6 and 2 in this one's column 1. So that isn't a 6. So that has to be a 2, 4. I mean, that wouldn't have been a 6 anyway because it's on an arrow and 6 cannot be on an arrow. For a similar reason, this cannot be a 6, and actually no, we don't already have a... Do we? We've already got a problem, right? I'm pretty sure they've actually already made a mistake. Because the only way for this arrow to work would be if they're both 1s, and that's a 4, right? This cannot work. Oh, because technically speaking, we never ruled out which of these it is. No, we did. We ruled out that had to be a 1, so that couldn't be a 1. That has to be a 3. So what's going on here then? If that was 2, 4, and 6, then yeah, that breaks. This is something about a skyscraper. Dancing. Oh, okay, I get it. Okay. It's a skyscraper for both grids. Wait, no, no. If there's a skyscraper for both grids, then that physically couldn't have. Wait, hold on. Is it both combined? Let's have a look. Each clue indicates a number of digits visible in that direction. Okay, no, never mind. It's not an additional thing. So, yeah, I was right then. That can't be a 1 because that would have to be a 6. And that means if that was a 1, that would have to be odd for the arrow to work. Okay. And at the same time, right, this is an arrow which can't have a 6 on it. That has to contain like 1, 2, 3, doesn't it? So that would have to be a 2. Okay, let's retry this, right? So that would have to be a 2 because if that was a 4, they would both have to be 1s for this to add up. That's got to be a 6. No, it can't be a 6. It's got to be. Oh yeah, because that has no reference on that. So this can still be a 2, right? That can be a 2. And then that's a 1. And that's a 5. Now that would have to be. Okay, we'll have to rethink that. But that would work. And then that would have to be a 6. And then that has to be a 5. That can be a 3 now if we're assuming that this might be wrong logic. Yeah, definitely our squares are even. So they are a 3-4 pair. Which already sets an upper limit on this being either 4 or 6. If it's a 4, it's got to be, well, it can't be 3-1. So that, I think, has to be a 6. So that's either a 3, it can't be a 2. That's a 3, 3, 4. So that, because 5 can't go here, obviously for 2 different reasons, that's a 4, that's a 5. That's got to be a 1, because it's the only odd left. There, 2 as 6. Oh yeah, I guess what I should say actually is I think the mistake I'm making is assuming that these have to be 1 to 6. These are allowed to repeat. That's the mistake I'm making. Okay, well no, that's definitely not a 1 because that breaks here. This has to be the 3. Yeah, that's a 3. So that's 3. That's not 6. That doesn't solve that for either of those, but it does mean. Actually, does it mean anything? Oh, we know that's, well, 6 can go anywhere here. That's fine. I guess what it does mean is because those can repeat, the logic we had here still works. So, in fact, it's a bit weird, right? We know there's still going to be the same parity no matter what. But that's going to be either 3, 4, or 6. That's going to be 2, 4, 1. Yeah. Although again, this can't be 6 because that would require this to be a 1, which requires that to be a 5, which breaks it. This can still be a 1 though. So, okay, I've sorted everything out. That is cool. So, we need to figure out. This isn't necessarily 3, 4, 6. All we know is that 6 cannot go in one of those two. In this box, 6 probably is most likely to go in one of those two, but I guess the position of the 6 doesn't really matter. I guess actually the family got 2 odds on here that we haven't considered. Actually, we know all 3 of the odds in there, so that must be 2, 4, 6. And I guess we highlight all of those as odd. We know that one is even. And we can track positions, so that cannot be a 6. That's a 2, 4 pair. That cannot be a 3. That's a 1 to 5 pair. So 3's on one of those, which puts. Does that actually do anything major? I don't know if it does actually. I know that's not 6, but oh wait, no 6 is one of those two. So that wouldn't have been 6 anyway. not sure what to do with this information. Let's look at this, which actually could be a 6, right? Because we know that, no it can't, 6 can't be on an arrow. So we know that 6 can't go there, can't go there. So that I think is forced to be the 6 there. Pretty sure that's right. So that's either 5. Now 6 is a one of those, which puts 6 there. In terms of this box, that's eliminated 6 there. 6 is in one of those two. And 6 is in 1 of 3 there. Oh, 6, 4, 6, 1 of 2. So this being a 2, well, this can't be a 2. No, it could be a 2. Never mind. Because it can repeat, there is an argument for this being a 4, because they could both be 2s. In fact, this has to be a 2. It can't be a 1, but it also can't be 4. So that is definitely a 2. That can't be a 6 because of that, so that can't be a 4. So that's a 2. That's a 4. That would therefore, well, it's not necessarily a 6. But we know that 5 has to go behind it somewhere. That's a 2. Final ones here are 1 and 3. Which I don't think are forced in any particular way. 4 in this box. Now, it's already restricted from there anyway. So, oh, that can't be a 5, that's a 1 through that. I think this is either 2 or 4. So, this being, again, 6 could go wherever here. Doesn't matter. This, though, if it was a 1, actually this can't be a 1, because whatever that would be is higher, and it can't be a 6. So that cannot be 1, that must be 3. That's a 1. Okay. And I'll probably split here, and I'll continue sort of just right after.